3000.
What is doing? I hate doing it, but I'd like everyone to like, subscribe, share the content. Sharing is really important. If you like the content that I'm bringing you with the 3000 podcast, you want to help us grow, make sure you do all that stuff. Follow us on Instagram, like, subscribe, share, do all that good shit. Now to the episode.
1000.
What is doing? My name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a returning guest who's currently going through her handbag and turning her phone off. Welcome back to the show, Phinix. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me back, Maloney. I really appreciate it.
No worries, man. Obviously, it hasn't been that long between drinks since the last one.
Yes.
But I feel like with you, your whole life is like on fast forward because you go through a lot. So I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that we can talk about, but also
So much stuff.
I'm sure that there's stuff we didn't touch on in the first episode.
Yeah. It's funny. I watched it back. Well, my mum watched it back and she's like, no, we put you through therapy. And I was like, oh yeah. Like I completely blocked that out of my brain.
Was she happy with it?
She was so happy. She said that I spoke really well. She loved you as well, the questions you asked, and it was just really engaging. She was really proud of me. She was emotional, obviously.
Yeah, be confronting for a mum to sort of hear all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
I guess the flip side is that she's happy with how you handled it.
Yeah, no, definitely. But she did say, she's like, no, we did put you in therapy. Remember all those sessions I used to take you to? Because I left out a lot of things. When I was 15, I went to my first psychiatric ward.
Wow.
Yeah, which I just completely have blocked out of my brain.
And this is before substances?
Yeah, it was. It was like right before it. So after I started self-harming, but right before, it was like when I was drinking alcohol, but before other substances. Yeah, and I just kind of fell into this depression. I'm so sad. So sad. But no, I did. I had my first psychiatric admission in the youth ward. And
Before we get into that, which is obviously extremely interesting,
yeah,
the self-harming thing, it's like, okay, I'm a bit older than you.
yeah,
And it's something that I don't think was that prevalent, and maybe I'm wrong, when I was going to school in high school in the 90s.
yeah,
But by the 2000s, it became to be a thing that a lot of kids were doing.
yeah.
And what's the thought process behind that for someone like myself who doesn't really understand it?
Probably influence. So watching Skins when I was younger, watching Effie, the character from Skins, Cassie, like one of them had an eating disorder, one of them was like running around,
So
running
that should
amok.
have had a negative impact on you.
Yeah, 100%. Because I felt like how they portray the characters I could relate to. So then it normalized the behaviors of me doing what I was doing.
Life
yeah.
imitating art.
Yeah. And, you know, social media was such a big thing and it was just starting. I remember when I was 11, Instagram came out and I had an account. I had an iPad. I was an iPad kid. Lol. But yeah, it just consumed me, and being so young and having such a young brain, being a woman as well, or even a male, but I think being a woman on those apps, it was really, really, really like damaging. And Pinterest and Tumblr, especially. Tumblr was like...
And kids were self-harming on that.
Well, you would see, I don't know if you remember people referring to girls with like the tights as Tumblr girls, or like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
Tumblr.
yeah. It was it was like a scene sort of movement.
It was a scene, yeah, it was a scene type movement, and there was a lot of stuff on there that was, I would say, glorifying depression and eating disorders and self-harm. So
Sort of in conjunction with that kind of emo scene movement.
yeah, I didn't really have much to do with that. I'll admit I don't.
But that was a
Cakes
bit
does.
before your time.
Yeah. But no, definitely. I think it was social media that really, and just TV that it was just so in your face. That, yeah.
Pretty concerning. I had a girlfriend years ago who was a bit younger, and she had scars and stuff. I'm like, what's that? And she's like, yeah, I went through this stage. And she's like, a lot of girls did. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's concerning.
Well,
And the influence by things like the internet.
yeah, internet porn, unfortunately, like we're made to believe that we're no hair, perfect body, you know, or else you're ugly, you get bullied in school. I'm sure boys men go through different things as well, because I've never been that, or whatever gender you are. I think it would be harder these days, especially with, gender fluidity and fuck knows, like the whole pool of that stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even wish to be a teenager in this age. Like, it was already hard enough for us. I don't know, bloody hell. The world.
But that is definitely a factor, because the internet, I'm a fair bit older, but you said you've got Instagram at 11, and that changes things as well. Like, you've got negative and positive stuff forced down your throat.
Yeah. And when you're sad, or I don't know, it's kind of, when you're a moody teenager, like, of course you're going to gravitate towards that stuff. And I watched Nickelodeon growing up as well. And my brother used to say, he's 30 now, but he used to say, oh my God, just stop acting like these girls on Nickelodeon, like you're talking like them, you've got the attitude. And it was just so normalized, because you would see teenage girls being represented, and that's how you would form your behaviours as well. And now it's got all that stuff with, Dan Schneider and everything being misrepresented or over-sexualized, and it's like, whoa, not good.
No, definitely not. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot for a teenager growing up in any time, but I think to grow up with the internet at the forefront of to help mold you as becoming from adolescence to a grown up, it's
so
tough.
hard.
Yeah.
So hard. And it's, it's a realm. It's a free realm. You can look up anything you want. Everything's there at your fingertips, and you're still learning the world. So it's, it's a very difficult time. But, as I said, I wouldn't want to be a teenager now.
No. It's scary to think now, like, having kids and stuff, like, tackling them when they're going through their teen years is going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a good little tangent, but let's go back to the psych ward. No,
not yet, Maloney.
Not yet, no. But so you were there when you were 15.
I was there when I was 15. Or was I 14?
You were young.
No, I was 15. I was young. I was in year 9, because I was rocking up to school drunk and doing, like, I remember going to my history exam, and I'd have vodka in my water bottle, and I was like running into they kicked me out like 3 times of this exam, and I kept coming back and knocking on the door, like, let me back in. Like, just completely, just not okay.
Yep.
Just obviously not well. I was the type of girl that your parents didn't want you to hang out with, pretty much. So, yeah. Got up to some trouble.
Yeah. And so then that first experience there, did they diagnose you with some sort of mental illness?
Depression, anxiety. But because I was so young, they said we can't really diagnose you until you're an adult. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of like, we'll put you on these antidepressants and see how you go. And I tried to stay on them, but as I said to you in the previous podcast, that I wasn't very good at staying on them, because I was just a teenager that didn't really care about that stuff.
And the thing is with those sort of medications is they're not going to take their full effect, A, if you don't take them consistently, and B, if you take other substances.
100%, yeah. So that was kind of just a flop. That was one thing I didn't touch on, but I was going to therapy after that. So they linked me in with a counsellor, and I would go every Friday, but all I was thinking about was this bloody, like, fucker, hurry up, because I want to go to my mate's house. Yeah, I got a party, I got to go. So I was never really paying attention. I didn't have the right intentions to be there. I was just kind of there because
you had to be.
Mum and dad supported me to go. It wasn't like I was forced to go, but being a child, you kind of, or a teenager, like you just do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. So no, I was very blessed that they helped me and supported me through that, but I wasn't ready to face anything, or I was just too distracted. Yeah.
You put your poor mum through a bit.
I'm sorry.
But it's amazing that she stuck by you, and she keeps helping.
She's my fucking rock, Mum. She really is, and we've gotten so close in the past few months. It's actually ridiculous how close we've gotten, and how I got to hear her story, her life story, the other day. And
you weren't aware of?
I wasn't aware of it to the I don't think she speaks about it much because it's quite in depth, and we're very similar. Yeah, it was like kind of looking in a mirror, and yeah,
Even though she's not biologically your mum, but there's similar traits.
definitely like relationships, body image. There's a lot of similar things. I obviously won't disclose her story because it's her story, but being able to just kind of see her for how she is and how she grew up, and mistakes she's made, lessons she's learned, I felt seen, and I was like, oh, you're the black sheep too. I'm like, and it was just really lovely to be able to connect. And I think growing up, she hadn't been able to process things from her past. So when I was going through it, it was kind of re-traumatizing her. So she would be triggered, but I wouldn't know that. So it was kind of her projecting, not knowing how to deal with it. And then I'm like, why do you fucking hate me? It's difficult, yeah.
It is. Yeah, there's a time, and it's generally, I reckon, in your 20s where you realise your parents are real people, which they're always real people, but you kind of realise they may not have known what they were doing when they were bringing you up. They also
100%.
They also had their own struggles, and when you're a kid, you just think, oh, mum's doing this or dad's doing this, whatever. But when you get to a certain age, you're like, oh, I'm about their age now, and I don't really know what's going on.
It's everyone's first time around, so yeah, definitely. I can say. I mean, I've never raised kids. I wouldn't. It scares the shit out of me. Like, I want to do it one day. But yeah, just being able to speak to mum about her stuff has really helped me. And I think it's helped her as well. It's been a little bit of healing between us. So definitely a lot closer. But she did say from watching the podcast, she's like, we did put you through therapy. I remember taking you there every week. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for that.
So there you go.
Yeah.
She's doing her best for you.
She is doing her best. And also, I forgot to mention, I had an outreach worker. I won't disclose the name, but they helped me for a long time, from when I left rehab when I was 19 up until I was about 21. But they were my outreach worker, so they would meet me every week and we'd have a talk just about how I was going with my usage or what was going on with my mental health, financial status, all of that stuff. So they were amazing, and I did have that support. I just, like, clinically with psychiatrists, I stayed away from them a lot, but there was a lot of psych ward stays during that time of when I was homeless. I was in and out, in and out. I just forgot where I was or what I was doing, but there was a lot of inpatient times. Actually, I could probably bring that up now.
Yeah.
I met a girl called Connery, and she's the only one named Connery in Australia. So
how do you spell that? That's interesting.
Conor E-A, I think. Connery. She's going to kill me for not knowing that off the top of my head. But I met her at a psych unit when I was 19, and she has been my oldest sister ever since.
So she was a patient as well?
Yeah. I thought she was a worker when I came out. She was making pasta or something with like mushrooms, and I was like, oh, gross. And then she made me a batch without it, so that was lovely. But we've been friends ever since. She helped me through refuge. She used to come and meet me at front yard, drop food off. We've been through hell and back. And
she's got her own issues.
She does, yeah. She's got her own issues, and we help each other through stuff. We're able to vent, talk about things. We can relate. So it is really lovely. But yeah, she's been by my side for years and years, nearly 6 years now. I see her quite a lot.
And that's, I guess, one of the real positives of that sort of institution stuff, that you can make connections with other people that get it.
They get it, exactly. And that's why I want to go into that work, because it is so valuable to have someone with lived experience as a peer worker that gets it. That's why I want to give back, because I'm like, I don't know everything you're going through right now, but I think I've got a little understanding, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can see it from the other side and probably see it'd be frustrating. You know, you're like, just I'm trying to help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely at that point with some people where I'm like, there's little things you can do during the day to make your day a bit better, like eat breakfast or just change little things, but you can't tell someone to get better.
No.
Without them wanting to. So it's just being patient and waiting.
So since the last time you were in, which was, I don't know, I'm going to say 9 months ago or something.
In where?
Here.
Oh, here.
Here. Yeah. I'd say it would have been about 9 months ago. You've had a few developments, so things have changed, but you had some cool stuff. So you did the hooligan hefts.
That was
because when you were last here, that just happened while you were here, that you got put on that.
Yeah, that was insane. Like the coolest thing I have ever done, the coolest opportunity I've ever been given. Well, actually, not the coolest opportunity that I have been given now.
Okay.
I think I can announce that, but anyway, we'll get to that.
Yep.
Hooligan Hefts was amazing. We got into a car accident on the way there. It wasn't our fault. Someone just was scratching their arm, looking at their phone, and just kind of, what's the word where they just run into the back here?
Yeah, rear engine.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned rear ending.
Yeah, got a good rear ending. And anyway, we could still drive there, but my head hit the dash. So I think I was concussed. And I had
Did you have your seatbelt on?
Yeah, I did, but I went to go grab something because we heard the first car smash. It was a 3-car pile-up. That's what it's called. It's a 3-car pile-up. And I heard the first smash and I looked at Keeks and I was like, oh, fuck. And I went to bend down to get something. And then it just went bang. And then my glasses came off. They nearly broke. And yeah, it was horrible. But his car was okay. Like we were still able to fix it. He works at a panel shop, so it was fine. So we went to the hospital and then I'm like, I'm not fucking waiting and missing hooligan hefts.
Did you have like a laceration, like a cut or anything?
There was, it was here, I remember. So my glasses hit here. So it was here and here. It was a bruise starting. It really hurt. But I was like, no, fuck it. I'm not like, I felt out of it when I got there and then I still had a headache. I shouldn't have performed, but I was like, I'm not missing this.
Yeah.
And we were late for sound check. I was like messaging the venue owner, we're late. We got in a car accident. They're like, don't stress about it. And then we got there. Hefs had heard what happened. So I did sound check and then I did my set and they said because there's 2 green rooms. There's a VIP room and then there's a green room for the other artists. So the VIP is obviously for Hefs or the main artist if they want to be separate. So I was sober at this time too. So they were giving free drinks out and I was like, fuck. But I was like, shit, like really good quality alcohol too. But it was like, I just, this is what I'm doing. And I wasn't driving either. Keeks was driving, but
because you were quite sober at that period.
Yeah, I'd gained so much weight. I look back at the Hefs videos. I'm like, I was heffing. Like I was a big gal. But I was healthy as well. So, but yeah, that's what you get when you get sober, I guess. And you don't, if you're like substituting it with takeaway or.
Oh, so you weren't looking after yourself.
I wasn't. I was staying sober, but I wasn't looking after my nutrition or my exercise because I was in a job I hated and there was a lot of things going on in the background at the same time. But anyway, they said the manager came around to our green room and they said, Hefs will be able to see you performing. And we're like, how the fuck can he see where we're performing? Like Big Brother type shit. Like, where are you? And anyway, apparently there was a TV in the VIP room and that's where he's watching us from when we're playing our sets.
Oh, cool.
So I played my set and then went back to the green room and the manager said, like, he kind of pointed at me and was like, you, come here. I was like, well, like me? And like, yeah, come here. And it was like a vision I had back in my coma as well, was this thing. But instead I met Melbourne, not hooligan Hefs. It was weird. So when he's like, come here, like Hefs wants to meet you, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God, like it's all coming to fruition. We walk back to the VIP room and he goes like, hey, nicest person I have ever met. Genuinely the nicest, most humble person I've ever met. Kept accidentally like being like, oh, do you want a drink? Like trying to be hospitable, but we're like, no, like we're sober, we're sweet. And he's like, oh shit, sorry, like didn't mean to do that. He's like, I heard what happened with the accident. Like you're a fucking G. I want you to get up and do your thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to. But what do you mean do my thing? Like, wait, what does that mean? And he goes, get up while I've got my set and you can play whatever song you want of yours. And I was like,
That's cool.
what the fuck? Yeah. And I got to do that and perform it with Hess in front of the biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of.
So did he know the lyrics?
Well, he was just kind of like, yeah, ooh, hold up, and it was just, it was really cool.
So he was like hyping you.
Someone calling me. Oh, this is my care coordinator for rehab.
Do you want to answer it?
Is that okay?
Yeah. That was cool. You got a phone call and rehab is potentially happening.
Rehab is happening, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. We won't jump ahead. But the Hefts thing was cool.
Hefts thing was cool. It was sick. Amazing opportunity, crazy night. Stayed right to the end. The energy was insane. Like, as I said, he was the nicest person, nicest artist I've ever met. So humble, really, yeah, just amazing. The venue was amazing too. That was District 14? Yeah, in Narre Warren. They were amazing. Yeah.
Nice one. And so then that happens. Then you've got some more music stuff that's happening. But you kind of, things start to unravel a little bit.
Yeah. So the thing about gig etiquette, that kind of went a little bit viral. People got their pants in a twist for that one. But I will call myself out on this one. So gig etiquette, do not get too drunk when you are performing at a gig.
Especially if you're being sober.
But yeah. There was some bumps along the road. I had some issues with my relationship. I've not been treating my partner the right way as they deserved. And
so you were owning it?
Yeah. They went through some stuff as well, obviously. But I started drinking again. And slippery slope. But I was getting booked for a few more gigs after Hefts, and they were going really well. But one of them I did, and I just Keeks and I had broken up that week. I probably shouldn't talk too much on what happened, but basically I stepped in to help Keeks, and I shouldn't have. It was kind of done, and the situation had fizzled out.
A physical altercation.
Yeah, like a physical. One of my first physical altercations, and I deeply regret doing this, but I was way too intoxicated and was just being obnoxious and quite an asshole that night. That's what I turn into when I'm using like substances and drinking, and I'm just a bit of a cunt to put it.
So, you've figured out that maybe booze isn't for you.
Yeah.
And I guess no, you just had to say.
We said it last time too.
Okay.
And the one thing that kind of got me out of this massive was watching your podcast. I mean, like, if I can't tell myself, then like, who the fuck will I listen to?
Okay.
But listening to me go, I probably shouldn't drink and this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, she's right.
Uh-huh. So, and that's the thing with when people go sober, some people start to reintroduce alcohol down the track.
Yeah.
And I know some people that have been like 3 years sober and they're starting to reintroduce some alcohol in some social situations, which is their choice. But I think you've realised that you probably can't do that. It's too triggering.
It's just my brain chemicals just completely cook it. And I just turn into, I split, I switch, I turn into this horrible person. I have the biggest...
That you're not proud of.
Biggest ego in the world. Like, I remember one of Mitchos, the Menace's gigs, and I wasn't even that well known as a rapper, but I was so drunk and intoxicated that I was like at the green room door, like, do you even know who I, like being a full Karen, like, do you even know who I am? I'm fucking Phinix, like, let me in, like, just proper, just like, shut the fuck up. You know, just behaviors that you, it's just embarrassing, honestly. At the end of the day, it's just embarrassing. And like, I'll hold myself to that. And they're the things that I need to remember. if I go to pick up another drink again, because it's like, do I want to be that person? I mean, it might feel good at the time, top of the world, but I just treat everyone like shit.
And I guess it's a gateway into other things.
Oh yeah, 100% gateway. I would never use any other substance unless it was like acid or psilocybin, without drinking first. Yeah. But it did get to a point, when I lapsed on ice. So anyway, yeah, got into the physical altercation. Had to apologize profusely to the people that put the show on, which was a really good friend of mine as well. So that
did they understand, or
they were sick of it, which is fair. I was just spitting a broken record at this point.
So you had, it wasn't the first time.
It wasn't the first time that I've gotten so fucked up and tarnished the relationship. Uh-huh. But it was the first time I'd been in a physical altercation. But there was so much history behind it that really damaged their reputation as well. So I took a step back and I said, I'm not going to be performing anymore for a while. I'm going to take a break. And I did. And I haven't played a show since. Uh-huh. And this was back in October.
Yeah. And one thing I think, I'm not to rub it in, but I'm just to emphasize the point as someone who has put on gigs and worked in nightclubs and bars and stuff for a long time. When there's a physical altercation that happens, it makes it really hard because the venue owners straight away go, you guys have got people fucking things up.
Bad news.
Right. So that kind of undoes all the positive stuff, which, like I said, I'm not rubbing it in, but I'm just trying to re-emphasize a point to other people out there. Just if your friends put on a gig, that's not, you know what I mean?
100%.
And it's happened to me a lot of times with friends and stuff and certain crews that would come and, fuck it up. And then you go to a meeting on Monday with the owner and they're like, what are you boys doing?
Yeah,
and so that
what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I found out that a female had like punched Keeks in the face. And as soon as someone told me that, I saw red, like I'd never seen red before. And I came flying out of this fucking venue and I got rocked. Like I got thrown to the ground by 4 girls, hair ripped out. Half of my hair was on this street. Both my gold chains ripped. My phone was bent in half. But I came out like swinging. But I definitely learnt my lesson.
Yeah. And if you weren't under the influence, that wouldn't have happened.
No, I wouldn't have done that. No. I would usually just yell.
Obnoxiously yell.
Yeah. I would yell. I'd be like, what are you doing? But yeah, it didn't need to happen and it can easily be avoided. And the thing is, it's so scary because Keeks got king hit nearly 3 times as well. Like he could have died. We had to go to the hospital a few days. I had a black eye. If I had hit someone the wrong way, I could have killed someone. There's just all these things that you need to think about. Like in the moment, is it worth it? It's not worth it.
No.
So, yeah, I took a long break from performing. It's still taking a break. I had to check in with myself. But, yeah, Keeks and I broke up and we both moved into our own houses and I said, I need to do this for my independence, for my sobriety.
Had you lived independently really in your adult life before? No.
No, only in assisted accommodation where there's workers there but no, not properly. So it was a test. It was a big test. It was a big move. I was still studying. I just lost my job the same week that Keeks and I separated. So everything was just like the universe was just shedding everything off me, trying to renew.
Yeah. And the thing, look, I've never been into rehab, but I could imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, that they would prepare you, well, they would say, things are going to happen and this will trigger you to start using again. Yeah. You have to learn how to deal with this shit so you don't go back to what you feel comfortable with. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%.
So in life, you will break up with partners potentially. You will lose your job. It's about dealing with those things and not going straight back to whatever was your vice.
Make you feel good.
Yeah.
I'm a very codependent person, so I like having someone there with me. And I get attached. I've got really bad attachment issues because of, being a foster kid and whatsoever. But I just wanted to see if I could do it by myself. And it was just too much pressure. The usage got worse every week. Like I just couldn't be sober for a weekend. And one night I just got so drunk that I messaged someone that I used to know, and they'd picked up like ice. And I was asking them for different stuff, but they said that they had that, and something in my brain was like, yeah, let's do it. Like 2.5 years nearly clean, but fuck it, because Keeks isn't there to tell me, like that was the whole thing. Keeks said, if you smoke ice again, we're done. And I've gone, I would never do that. So, but I didn't have that safeguard anymore. So it was just, it was an excuse for myself.
But again, because your inhibitions are gone because you've been drinking.
Oh.
And so you're not going to be calling out for stuff when you were sober.
No, God, no.
So then we've got to the crux of the issue.
Yeah,
it might
alcohol.
be the booze.
I had that realization a few times, but I've really got to hammer it in now because it's the gate. It just opens the gate to horrible stuff for me. My usage got really, really bad, and it was very hard. It was very hard for Keeks because he felt like it was his fault because we weren't together anymore. And I was like, no, it's not your fault at all. It's my fault.
But at some stage, you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. Though.
Yeah.
So he can't wear that,
No, and I said, you can't. He goes, I know it's fucked up, but I feel like it's my fault. And I was like, it's not your fault. I did this. This is my action. Who knows? Like, if we were still together, I might have gone and done this anyway if I was at the brink of where I was. But anyway, it was horrible. I didn't tell my parents about it. I ended up having to tell my brother about it around Christmas time because I'd just gotten so bad. And I said, look, I don't want to tell Mum before Christmas. I don't want to ruin Christmas.
But you mentioned that you were bigger and then you lose weight.
Oh
they
my
would have
gosh.
saw the warning
They
signs.
did, but I also changed jobs from an office job to cleaning.
Okay.
So
Physical exercise.
yeah, so I lost weight from that anyway, and then putting ice on top of that, I just lost even more weight.
Which is a shock to your body as well.
Such a shock.
Like
yeah.
when you lose weight that rapidly, it's not good for anything.
Oh no, I've damaged my body so many times. It's like a form of self-harm, really.
Because you just, as someone who's never really dabbled with ice, it just suppresses your appetite. You wouldn't think to.
Yeah, no, you don't.
You don't.
And
think
I
to
didn't
eat.
want to because I was diagnosed with bulimia a few years ago before I had met Keeks, and that was kind of what I'd switched my drug use with, was binging and throwing up because it releases the same endorphins as amphetamine. When you make yourself throw up, it's fucked.
That's messed up. I hate vomiting, man.
Yeah.
I hate it.
All the science behind it. Like I had it, yeah. Sorry, trigger warning. My whole fucking thing is a trigger warning. I keep moving the bottle there as well.
You can put it there. Well, you've got your bag there now. It doesn't matter. It's just when there's what I don't like is when we try to clip things up, right, for like Instagram.
And things move.
And someone's got a bottle here. I'm like, it just looks kind of shit.
Yeah. But basically, I've struggled with my body image for years and years and years and years. And, starving myself and drug use was always one thing, and just being obsessed with my weight and the scales is always a massive thing going through rehab. It's just always that one thing you can control, and how you look is what you can control, and just obsessed with the scales, getting on there every day, checking my weight. And if it was going down, then it was good, but I didn't care what I was doing. If I was up for 3 days not eating and smoking my life away, or whatever was happening out here, I didn't care because I could control what was happening on the scale.
So you
Crazy.
thought in your mind, oh, okay, this is good. The numbers are going down, but at what mental cost?
Yeah, I didn't care. And it's happened before. It's happened a few times where everything's just so blown out of proportion. After sexual assaults, after traumatic events, where it's one thing that you can control. You will find with a lot of trauma survivors, they will tend to have eating disorders or body dysmorphia, or
Because it's one thing they can control
Yeah.
that other people can't.
yeah. So I struggled with that a lot. And
But you know this now, which is the first step to
yeah,
getting it under control.
yeah, I did know that.
Okay.
But at that point, nothing else really mattered. But now that I'm out of that situation, out of that really toxic environment that I kind of put myself in, but also when you're around drug users, it just happens. It's just not good. They're obviously not well either. So when you've got a bunch of people that are not well, things will happen.
Yeah, and look, and that's the thing. Everyone's going to enable each other.
Yeah.
And if you're hanging out with people that recreationally smoke ice, that's normal to them.
Yeah.
That's normal to the crew.
Yeah.
If you hang around with people that don't ever do that, it's not normal.
It's not normal. I don't think it's fucking normal. I'm sorry.
No, well, yeah.
I just don't like what comes with it. I don't think there's anything good that comes with it. But that's just my opinion. Maybe it's the only environments that I've been around. But it got to a point where I was just doing it by myself. Yeah, it got really bad again.
And that's not to have fun on the weekend. That's when you know
No.
that I'm properly actively addicted again.
I'm addicted, and if I don't have this, I can't function. And I will literally, like, my body will start just shutting down. There was a week where I tried to detox myself, and I slept for 80 hours, and then I couldn't even stand up to shower myself. So I was just kind of sitting on a chair.
You slept for 80 hours?
80 hours.
How many days were you up before that?
Probably double.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a week.
Yeah. You kind of lose your mind a bit. So that's why I'd written a lot of music as well. I'd written a lot of music to get me through those times of just not being able to sleep. Yeah. It was a lot of stuff that I kind of needed to get out of my head as well. Right.
So you kind of almost feel like it was the meltdown you needed to have.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. I'm not ready to live alone. There's a lot of stuff that I needed to unpack. I was meant to start exposure therapy, which is an hour and a half of intensive exposure therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. Because I have borderline personality disorder and I've got PTSD, bulimia, anxiety, depression, all the shit that comes with it. But I was supposed to start that around now. And I feel like if I had started that, like they basically replay your sessions back to you. They replay the traumatic event. They go through all of this stuff. And
that's healthy?
Well, that's how you get through it because they provide a safe environment for you to deal with it.
I guess it's like rewatching the podcast.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. And it just kind of all came to a head and all of these things were bubbling in the background and I was just like, I can't do this right now. Like if I do that, I'm gonna end up killing myself again.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to be in the right frame of mind for that sort of stuff. You can't be doing that when you're not 100%.
Yeah. And I was 100, like with the Hefts gig, I felt like I was really well. I was switched on. When I was doing the podcast, that was the healthiest I've ever been, I reckon. So watching that point of my life, I'm like, oh, I can get back to that stage again. That's attainable for me. But yeah, anyway, it kind of just, all came to a head. Did my first adult detox, which was so scary because I'm still eligible for youth, but I said I've done it to the bone. And also I was promoting all of my fee chains were all the money for that. I was donating packages to these centers that I used to be a patient at. So it felt like I was going backwards and I felt embarrassed. I didn't want to go back to these centers because I'm like, what the fuck?
As you well know as well as anybody, it's not always smooth sailing. There's going to be, But and look, don't beat yourself up too much because how long were you sober for? And you were 2.5
years.
Right. That's amazing.
Off ice,
right? So
and heroin.
You do have a road bump and then you know what your issues are.
Yeah. I know. And that's what people say. And they're like, lapses are going to happen. And I was like, I really don't want this to be the rest of my life. But that's why I'm doing this massive stint now. I'm not going to say where I'm going because there's a lot of safety issues with me at the moment. A lot of things I can't disclose. But basically, yeah, I'm going away for a while by choice. It's going to be about a year.
Which is a long period of time for anything.
I've never done anything that long. And I think it's going to be great to learn discipline and be by myself and really get my roots seated.
For people that don't know, a program like a detox recovery, for 12 months, there's obviously going to be a lot of people on hand to help you through issues in all different, psychologists, a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So you're in safe hands.
I am, yeah, I'm in safe hands. And it's also, you go through the stages, and once you get to a certain stage, you kind of facilitate the center as well. So if I have that on my resume, it's exactly what I want to go into. I want to help and give back. So they actually really look at that and say, this is valuable. So it's kind of all working towards my goals of what I want to do in my plan for the future. So I feel like I'm on my path. I just need to stick to it. And I'm going day by day at the moment. So I'm not really planning things in a week in advance. You know that, trying to get this episode in.
Well, we got there in the end.
Yeah.
But so at what point in this last sort of, let's call it a speed bump, at what point did you realise, okay, I need to drag myself out of this. This is not good. Was it somebody? Did your parents, did somebody come to your aid, or did you figure out, nah, I've got to come clean here. This is getting out of control.
I was so honest with Keeks the first time it happened. As soon as it happened, when I lapsed on ice, I was really honest with the people around me, like my friends and Keeks, straight away. So I didn't really hide it from those people.
And even though you guys were broken up, you were still friends and you were still communicating.
Yeah. It was like being divorced, but still being there for each other and caring for each other. It was very difficult for him. And I put him through a lot of stuff too with that. He was going through his own stuff, which I won't talk about.
No, that's his.
It's his stuff. But yeah, he even was there for me going through his own shit. So yeah, it's definitely made us stronger because I've been able to be completely honest with him about things instead of lying, or that's what addicts do. They lie. They tend to lie about everything or make up excuses or blame it on something. But this time I was like, no, I got to own my shit. Like,
yeah,
it's not healthy. And yeah.
And like I said before, things are going to happen. You do lose your job, or things like life doesn't just work in a perfect trajectory
linear. I know.
To the goals. So these things are going to happen, and we have to learn how to deal with them.
Yeah, definitely. Recovery is not linear, and it's not going to be perfect. I've never heard of anyone being able to put it down and get off it and never touch it again.
That's what a lot of people say. It's like every day is a different battle. You know what I mean? Like to not relapse or whatever.
Yeah. 100%. It's day by day, hour by hour, and just always being able to forgive yourself, but also learn from the lessons.
Yeah.
But telling my brother was a big step. Being honest with him, because that's
He's never had substance issues or anything like that?
No. But he's so lovely. He's very straight edge, 98.45 ATAR.
Oh, wow.
Smart boy. And we had our last names were the same growing up in primary school because that's just what I was known as instead of my biological name. So every year I was in the principal's office, they're like, there's no way that you're related. Like James, my brother's name. James was in the principal's office getting awards. I was there like, what are you doing? Mucking around, like throwing toilet paper on the freaking roof, or like putting worms in people's pants, or just, they're like, how are you guys related? We're just polar opposites. But he's tried to understand. He's definitely been there for me. So I'm very grateful for that. I've got a much stronger bond with my brother now. And my mum, we're all really, really close, and my brother's girlfriend too. But telling him was the first step. And then telling mum was the next step. But mum kind of saw me unraveling a bit. She didn't know.
There was some red flags.
There was some red flags.
rapid weight loss.
Just the signs, and then can't even remember when I told her. It was when I started drinking really, really heavily and the recreational use started coming in, and I had told her about that, and we were on top of that. And this was when The Voice, because I got through to The Voice audition. Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
The Voice Australia. I had my auditions for that, and that was going really well. And they were saying, you know, is she going to be able to cope with being flown out and being sober and whatever?
Because you've got to go to Sydney for a period of time.
Yeah, you got to do that and do the blind auditions, and they fly you out and stuff. But they do like a full psych assessment and everything. And I didn't get chosen, but in the email they said timing is everything. And like when I got the email, everything was just... So I'm glad that I didn't get through. But that was also like, it was hard to take that on as well because I felt rejected. And BPD, borderline personality disorder, when they feel rejected, it's like the end of the fucking world. Like, oh my God, I can't do anything. Why am I doing this? Like, blah. So yeah.
When you put yourself forward for that though, you must have known it's not guaranteed you're going to get in.
Well, that is why I was so like, I don't know. And I kept kind of putting it off a little bit. And, but you know, I did it and I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to get in, probably not going to get in. And I kept telling myself that anyway. So I wasn't so set on it. But when they let me know, you get that little feeling.
Yeah. I don't watch those shows. Right.
Fair enough.
I'll be honest with you, I don't. But when you see the ads and stuff, they always pull at the heartstrings with like a, you know, oh, tell them about how your dog died or whatever.
Yeah.
With you, you're a wet dream for them because you've had so much trauma.
What I've said, I was like, it's my story. I know I don't have the voice, but I've definitely got a fucking story.
And did you do all that? You told them all that stuff?
I told them all that stuff.
And they would have been like, we don't even know which angle to attack this from.
Because even with you, I'm like, oh yeah, and then my coma, and then like, wait, hold on, pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. A whole lot of shit happened. But
those guys, just for that, I would imagine from a casting point of view, next time around they might be.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's something that I really want to do is I'm kind of sick of rap. I say that a lot, but I'm kind of sick of it and I want to diversify.
So you would have sung on that show?
Yeah, so they made me do my own song.
Right.
In an in-person audition. And there was 7 producers in front of me with their little laptops and I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And the way I sung, I wasn't confident. I knew that it wasn't the best thing I could have produced.
Would they let you rap and sing?
Yeah, they wanted me to rap.
Yeah,
They're like, choose your own song, sing rap. I did Way I Was, but it was just not, it wasn't it. I came in my juicy and they're like, oh, nice outfit. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get a sponsorship. Like, I don't know who JD is paired with. Maybe they're paired with another channel. I didn't even think of that as well.
You know who will know? T.
T would know. Brazen would know as well because she got a sponsorship. Yeah. Anyway, I did an adult detox, which was really different, really, really different, really clinical. That was a big step for me because I never wanted to use adult services. I just wanted to leave it. Yeah. But I knew that it wasn't going to help.
And how does that differ from the youth services?
So different. Right. Really clinical. Nurses there. No couches. No Netflix. No... Yeah. No outings. They don't take you to the zoo or they don't take you to the fucking, time zone. No, seriously, they don't take you to the ice rink. Yeah, I remember one detox when I was 17. They took us to the ice house in Melbourne. I was like, are you fucking serious? Are you kidding me? But it was really fun. But no, they don't do that.
Right.
And they medicate you and it's really, really, really different. You've got to do groups every day. And it was the kick up the ass that I needed. Mm. And they're very focused on nutrition as well. In youth, they're still focused on, feeding you. But, where I went, there was like hardly any meat. It was all veg. like maybe some turkey, or would have a lamb roast once a week, but it was, very different. So
But you wouldn't want to be in the youth one when you're in your 20s now, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got kids that are 15 and stuff. You'd be like, what am I doing here?
yeah, and I don't want to be there when I've just promoted and donated all of this shit there. Well, not shit, sorry, very important things. But I've just donated all of these packages, and this has been my whole Phinix motto of like, we're donating all the money to at-risk youth in recovery centres. And I'm like, I don't want to be that again, you know? And I donated all my music equipment to one of the rehabs there.
Because you just thought, that's it, you're done.
Because I didn't need it. I was like, I go to a studio to record. I don't need to record myself. And then after I did that, I think I was trying to give things away slowly, which is a sign of like being suicidal, where you just, So
And
if
you were at that stage.
I think I was slightly doing that. I was kind of giving things away slowly. Like Keeks and I had a cat together, Luna. She's my little baby, but I ended up giving him to her, and like just little things, little warning signs. Where no, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. Here's another responsibility that I can't do.
Right.
And I got really bad again. I was like, I don't want to repeat this. So got the help I needed. My workers were amazing through all of that. My mum was amazing through all of it too. My house was broken into while I was in detox. I'm not going to go into that. But all of these things have happened for a reason, and it's put me on the journey where I'm supposed to go. And I'm probably talking way too much now.
No, well, this is, I don't know if you know what this show is, but it's just two people talking. So you're doing a good job. Now, the other day when I had Motley in, he talked about his near-death experience.
Fucking love Motley. He's probably the same as Hef's, like with the best person you'll ever meet.
I've got some songs I haven't put out of his I can play for you as well that
I
he did
would
here that I'm going to
love
put
that.
on YouTube soon. But
Shout out Motley.
He talked about his near-death experience, and I'm like, I'd love to. That was super interesting, and I'm like, I'd love to talk to more people about that. And I put it on Instagram the other day, and you're like, man, we didn't talk about my near-death experience. So, because you were in a coma.
Well, yeah. Well, I messaged back, and I was like, well, I was in one, but there were so many things that we were talking about that, I mean, mate, I could go on for hours about my coma and all the visions I had. They say you're not supposed to dream. I was in another freaking universe the whole time. I felt like I was in another dimension. Like I had seen hell. I don't know if you've watched Hercules. The animation, the Pixar, I think it's Pixar, Disney, or I don't know what.
I don't watch that.
No. Okay, well, freaking watch it. Hercules. And there's this one animation part where it's the pool of souls, and it's just all these lost souls kind of floating in water or whatever. But I was in, like, I sound insane, but it exists. I was there, and it was crazy. Like, my body was trying to make sense of all the movements happening outside of me when they were moving me to x-rays and scans and putting tubes down my throat and doing the dialysis. But I saw the light. I'd gone into the light. I'd gone freaking into this pool of souls.
Did you elevate to see your own body and that sort
Yes.
of thing?
By the end of the experience I did, I felt like I was a spirit who could see all above me, and I could see people at my funeral, but it wasn't my funeral. They were all writing markings on like stone, but I felt like I was just above them. Like I could see everything. It was really freaking crazy. Like I felt like a spirit just above, like an entity. And oh God. So one of the parts of the vision was I was in this sweat lodge. Because I was in a bed the whole time, I must have woken up my eyes a little bit or seen something. But I was in this...
Because how long were you in a coma for?
3 weeks.
3 weeks is a long time.
I was dreaming the whole time.
21 days.
Yeah. And I was on a lot of fentanyl and just a lot of drugs. And yeah. So I got all these scars on my neck. But it looks cool because of my dragon tattoo now.
I can't even see. Oh, yeah, I can see on that side.
It's probably
Yeah, yep.
when they woke me up. They tried to wake me up one time and they'd stopped the fentanyl, and I just had like superhuman strength. I just like rose up like a fucking, I don't even know, like a vampire, I guess, and just started ripping like everything out of me.
Oh.
And I like hit one of the nurses and they're like, how does she have this much strength? She's not been able to move for 2.5 weeks. Like,
Life's just back in your body.
yeah, it was like boom. And it was, yeah, that's why I've got all these scars, because I was physically just ripping it out. I bit my tongue. Like I couldn't talk. Yeah, it was really freaking scary. And anyway, I was in this, I don't know what the fuck was happening. There was like this person, there was these two kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Spirited Away or Gallows, is it Gallows Sleeping?
I don't
Castle.
watch movies. I'm not into
They're like
it.
animations.
Yeah.
And there was like this rock at the end of my bed that was like a grandpa, and he was just kind of watching me. And there was this grandma that was made out of wood, and she was in the corner and she was smoking like a cigar pipe or whatever. I don't know how she didn't set on fire because she was made out of wood. But it was like they were just kind of like looking after me, just like watching me like a spirit guide. And how I got there was this woman, I don't know if it was a sweat lodge or a smoke lodge or what the fuck was happening, but there was like skin canvases all around.
Skin canvases?
Well, yeah, like skin, you know what they used to use back, what they probably still use it, but like at lodges back in the day where they would have to have warmth and they would just put skin hides for a lodge. Like that was where I was.
Which is somewhere you've never been in real life.
Fuck no.
So it's an obscure thing to be.
So weird, so cooked. I'd never seen it really. Oh, it was like, actually, I don't know if you've watched the Simpsons movie.
I've seen The Simpsons.
It's like when the Simpsons movie with that lady at the end and she's like going woo ha ha in the freaking. Anyway, it was like that. Random. And this lady she had antlers. And I think she was my spirit guide, but she went through this rebirth purification process, and they looked after me in this little camp. And they kind of brought me back to life, and they were like feeding me this energy. I don't know how to explain it. It was like they looked like little worms that were in the air, but they kept feeding me these little bits of energy.
So you're visually seeing all this?
Yeah, I was there. I could feel it. I was living it. I was in another portal dimension.
For 3 weeks?
Yeah. But this was only a small part of it. I've got so many stories. It was like watching a movie the whole time. I was not in my body. And anyway, she'd end up turning back into the deer or the stag. And she kind of watched me and whatever. But anyway, my friend Connery, who was on psilocybin at a festival about 2 weeks ago, she walked past this painting. She kept coming back and forward to it. And people who know me and know my story about my coma have probably heard that the stag or the deer or this lady is my spirit animal. Like that's my protector. She found this picture. I don't know how we're going to get it close.
And that's what she can't. Oh, hang on. We got the glare from the light.
I'll just show you, and then maybe we could put a photo in there. I don't know how to explain it. But basically, it's her.
And she saw it, and she's like, "Yep, that's what Phinix has been."
She was tripping off her bowls on psilocybin mushrooms, and she just kept coming back to it. And the lady who did the art was like, "You're really interested in this?" And Connery was tripping out so much she didn't know if she was actually seeing it or not, or if it was just the story I'd told her. And she bought it for me, and she gave it to me the day I got a detox. And this basically all the bones down here is like the pool of souls where I was in.
Wow.
And then she's kind of emerging from it with the energy, and yeah.
And when she gave it to you, you're like, "Yep."
I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" How? Because I was trying to look on New Year's Eve. I was on a done so much freaking coke. I was just on the yap. And I was trying to explain to someone, this woman, and I was looking up on Pinterest. I was like, dear woman, spirit woman. And I couldn't put into words what I'd envisioned. And this is exactly it. Now that I look at it kind of looks like little angel phoenix wings in the middle here. But yeah, it's got the stags here. It's just everything that you were looking for. And that she's saw. Even in the water here. Like, yeah, just insane.
And so when you had that experience, were you conversing with her, or you just felt that she's there to help you and she's your guide?
She was just my guide, yeah.
So you couldn't ask her, you couldn't talk to her?
I don't think I could talk.
Oh, but
I don't remember talking.
Okay. So it's just being, you were just there.
Yeah, I don't remember talking at all the whole time, actually, now that I think of it. No one's ever asked me that, but no, I don't remember being able to speak. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. And then the day after I got that, I bumped into someone. It was a full moon in Leo that just went past. I'm really spiritual with the moon and the lunar phases, and I'm like synced up to the moon, menstrual, everything. And I've got all my crystals and all my woo-woo and tarot cards, whatever. But I was... I was craving something. I wanted something sweet. I was walking around the shopping center. I didn't really need to be there. And then I ended up buying one of these like lucky dip prizes. Came out with a Spider-Man toy and I was like, I don't fucking need this. So I was trying to find like the closest, littlest boy, and I felt like a freaking pedophile just trying to like find a little boy in this shopping center. Anyway, I found one. I was like, do you like Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, I love Spider-Man. I was like, sick, here you go. And then I walked in this other direction. So that didn't even mean to happen, but it all led me to this person. Right. And they were giving me a skincare thing, and I'm like, please, I'm so broke right now, I need to pay my credit cards off. And they're like, no, it's okay, you don't have to give me any money, I just liked your tattoos. I was like, oh, thank you, I really like your tattoos too. And then from the corner it was like a stag horn, and I've gone, oh, I really like that, that's my spirit animal. And he goes, that's mine too. And then I was like, get fucked. And I went, sorry. And he goes, no, get fucked. Like, what the hell? And then he told me the story about, his name was Leo, by the way, full moon in Leo. And he told me the story about how when he was in LA, he went to, these Indians took him to a smoke lodge, like a sweat lodge, a purification lodge. And he got his cards read for his spirit animal. And it was the stag, it was the deer. I was like, you're in a smoke. He said, yeah, there was smoke everywhere. And I was like, and then I told him about my thing. He's like, I was meant to meet you right now. And we'll probably run into each other one day. But it was just fucking cooked. And then I called Connery and she's like, nah, I need to process, like, stop cooking my brain jet fee. Like, what the fuck?
And you were totally sober at this time.
Totally sober. Like, I'd just gotten out of Detox. And I reckon I know exactly where he's working at Northland. So if you ever see a Leo at a skincare thing and you see a stag on his arm.
Was he spun out or was he?
He was spun out.
Yeah.
He was spun out.
There you go.
Yeah. We were spun out. And we were like, what the fuck? And I was like, I wasn't even meant to walk this way. I wasn't even meant to buy that lucky dip and give that to that boy. I wouldn't have met you. I would have just gone home. But it was all
buying the lucky dip's a strange one.
Yeah, but I just needed like serotonin or dopamine. So I was going to get a piercing. I was like, that's stupid. And then I was going to get McDonald's and I was like, that's going to make me, like, that's not healthy. I was going to get frozen yogurt. And I was like, oh, maybe I just need water. So I got a bottle of water and then I was walking along and there was the lucky dip thing and it was the last one to tip me off to be like, I couldn't say no anymore to all the indulgences and temptations. I was like, fuck it, $20 on a lucky dip. And it came out with this Spider-Man squirting thing and I was like, seriously, I did not need this. But I made someone's day and I also met someone with the same spirit guide.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you think everyone has a spirit guide?
I reckon. Yeah, everyone's got a protector.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a spirit animal or a guide or a person?
It's an entity, it's something, it's an energy of some sort. But there's definitely something looking after everyone.
So what do you think happens after death?
I feel like you go into a pool of lost souls. Because
But that's if you're lost, or
if you're lost, because I killed myself. I attempted suicide, so that's a sin in the Bible, and it's also illegal, which is stupid. Like euthanasia is illegal and all that. Anyway, that's a whole another conversation. But I was a lost soul at that point in time, and then I'd kind of been slowly guided and protected and taken out of that and been given the energy to, I have no idea. I can't explain it, but definitely something's looking after me. Something's looking after me, yeah.
And you're at the point now where you have been sober for a number of weeks and you're ready to go into this long-term rehabilitation stuff and
100%.
make some big changes.
Yeah.
So, Phinix, thanks for coming in. As we get close to wrapping it up, is there anything you want to say, anyone you want to shout out? Obviously, you're going to be doing your rehab thing for a while.
Yeah.
At some stage. We may not see you for a bit.
It's going to be a long time. Yeah. Radio silent probably. But no, thank you so much for having me back.
Always.
It's been amazing. I think, everything happens for a reason. The song I wanted to do the first time wasn't it. Wasn't what fit anymore. So this rap that I wrote this time was in it's so recent. It's in the period of when I was not well at all. Sorry, Bias B, because I know you spoke about that the other day. It's depresso rap. I am like queen of depresso rap here. I'm sorry.
He said they call it barbecue rap. You have a good time at a barbecue,
Yeah.
which is a great quote though.
It is a great quote. Yeah, sorry, Bias. But no, I just wanted to shout out Break and Bread because I reached out to T and Shinen probably the same time I reached out to you, Motley, and they made it happen. They made a cypher happen within a week, and that's out now. It's Blue Ball Cypher.
Blue Ball Cypher.
I'm the first female on the Blue Ball Cypher.
Oh, there you go. Can't have just males on the Blue Balls.
I know. Blue Ball Cypher 3. It's on YouTube now on the Break and Bread channel, but check that out. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Before we wrap it up, though, I just want to say, what do you suggest people do that are going through a bad time as far as maybe relapsing and that sort of thing?
Watch your interview back. No.
If you haven't been on a podcast, what should you do?
Reach out, talk to someone. Do not battle it alone. I think this is exactly what I said last time. But
and people make mistakes.
People make mistakes. Life is not linear. Perfection does not exist. Even AI can't develop hands properly in images. So, nothing is perfect. And you've got to find the joy and the positive in the imperfections because that's what gets you through life. Yeah.
Nicely said.
Thank you.
Phinix, look forward to seeing you in 12 months-ish time
Yes.
where we can come back and you can tell us how your whole stint went.
Yeah, the stint. It'll be good. It'll be good to see you too. Thank you.
Cheers.